to ask a man-animal thing to learn a language as sophisticated as Psychlo?
What if it can understand Psychlo and it's just pretending that it can?
What the hell would it do that for?
I don't know. Maybe it's secretly listening, trying to get leverage over on us.
Man-animal getting leverage over Psychlo. That'll be the day.
Whoa, what if this one is particularly stupid? Maybe we should try to train another one.
There's no time. As soon as they detect the gold, the planet ship will know exactly what we're doing. We'll have to terminate the operation and cover our tracks.
Thoughts, sir?
It's
Scatter
It's Psychlo. Go on, say something else.
You're gonna stay here as my prisoner, while you go and get a transporter.
Just because you've learned Psychlo doesn't mean you become one.
If you don't follow my orders, I'll have you killed.
How exactly do you plan to do that?
Boom shakalaka. I am the Chief Raka. 1 sec.
Is that a Psychlo saying? There's an old proverb on the planet Psychlo. Boom shakalaka.
Yeah, I found it in the Denver library.
Yeah, they found some Psychlo history.
Did they actually learn anything from that library?
They
Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, he reads the one book that makes a big impression on him.
Yeah. Bronze Age pervert.
Yeah. He was a Psychlo. Famous Psychlo. Shall we begin?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Welcome back to Boys Bible Study. This is our first recording on location. We are stationed in the beautiful planet Psychlo, doing some tourism work for them. Gotta love this purple sky. A very industrious planet.
Yeah.
Lots to love about Psychlo.
Love this Psychlo air.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of
gas.
Like all the smog. It reminds me of like a factory city in China, but with even less light.
Yeah.
And a beautiful radioactive purple sky. We love it here. And we're thrilled to be reporting during this episode. I'm sure we'll have a lot of exciting news about Psychlo to share with you. But as always, Ash here with my co-hosts.
Scott.
Oh, and I see someone's really taking to the immersion of our trip. That's very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to learn a second language, and it's really the only way.
Duolingo, but the owl has like dreads.
The giant cone head.
Yeah, he's a cone head with dreads, and he teaches you how to go.
When did the Coneheads movie come out? They are just kind of like Coneheads.
I was watching that on like Saturday night.
Oh, is it good?
Yes,
I remember thinking it was funny as a kid, but I don't remember like a single thing that happened in it.
I think it still holds up. I was only watching like 15 minutes of it, but it was funny to watch that and then this movie a couple days later.
I see. We're back. So it's Boys Bible Study. And we decided as of, I want to say last week, to embark on a Hollywood block. We're calling it the Hollywood block. Spring is in the air. I think we just want to have fun. And, as much as we enjoy watching movies by Christian for Christians, I think it's really fun to take a look at the mainstream film machine and take a look at the religious themes. And what?
Bookfuck. By Christians for Christians.
You could say that. I thought that was a Psychlo word for a moment. And when we were brainstorming films we really wanted to review, one that came to mind was this film today, Battlefield Earth. This is a film that is based on a book written by L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology. Definitely not a Christian man.
Mitt Romney's favorite book.
Is that true?
Yes.
Why?
I think because it's so big.
Yeah.
Maybe he thought it was like a smart person book.
Yeah. Yeah.
like
He just thought
1,000
it was
pages
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. This movie is apparently only the first 400 pages of Battlefield Earth.
Fuck.
It's
Whoa.
remarkable.
It's like Dune.
Yeah.
Did they think it was going to be like a trilogy and then it just totally bombed?
I'm going to guess that they probably thought that this movie was going to take the world by storm.
Yeah. In Wikipedia, it said, I think they intended to make 2. It was going to be like a 2-part. One.
Okay.
Let me
I was
refer
working
to-
at a 20 screen theater when this came out, Cobblestone 20 in on the west side of Cleveland. And that was before I really understood like movie numbers or like even like thought to care about like what truly a bomb was. But I just remember being like, nobody is coming to see this movie. Because there was somebody I went to 8th grade with, and he was like a little bit of a dork. He nice guy though. And I remember he was the only person I saw excitedly showing up to the movie.
He showed up for Battlefield Earth.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And he was probably him and his friend were probably the only 2 people in the theater for that showing. And this was opening week.
Awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, I mean, Battlefield Earth is still kind of known to this day to be a pretty famous Hollywood bomb. After you listen to our episode, you can decide, is that because the movie is bad or is that because Hollywood doesn't prize freedom of expression? And the views of a religious man are put down.
Yeah. Both can be true,
Yeah.
but not in this case. It's just the freedom of expression one.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, this is Battlefield Earth. Scott, I have a fond memory of watching this one with you. Like before, when the podcast was just a twinkle, it was just glimmer in our eyes.
That's right.
We just watched this together for fun. Wow. And I remember enjoying it, being like, whoa, this movie's like low-key good. When I watched it last night, I was like, no, this movie is really bad. I don't know if, I've matured a little bit, or it was just like second time was not the charm in this case. I don't really know what happened.
I was a little surprised that it was worse than I remembered it being.
Same.
Yeah.
First time I saw it was probably like 12 years ago, I think. And I remember just completely tuning out.
Mm-hmm.
And this time I made a conscious effort to like pay attention, and it was like so much worse.
Yeah.
Like on so many levels of just making absolutely no sense.
No. Yeah, I fought really hard to pay attention last night. It felt really like active work.
Yeah.
And there were just a couple parts that they just grinded by. Really not a good job of like fluid film
This is
storytelling.
the first movie that we've watched in maybe ever that I just fell asleep during.
Holy shit, that's from you. That's saying a lot.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Because you have a gift for paying attention to lots of different types of movies.
I feel like that maybe there's like some sort of like subconscious hypnosis thing going on, but they accidentally got it like one thing slightly off. So instead it just like makes you completely lose focus instead of like captivating you.
Yeah, that's possible.
It's like anti-hypnosis.
That's very possible.
It's psychlosis or
Psychlosis.
yeah, psychlosis.
Well, I couldn't help but notice that the bad guys are an alien race called Psychlos, and that maybe has something to do with L. Ron Hubbard's like obsession with psychology being evil or psychiatry being evil.
So you are absolutely correct.
Okay.
Per Wikipedia, per the article on Battlefield Earth, the book, which was written by L. Ron Hubbard, this movie is based on, the Psychlos, I want to quote this exactly because it's like even stupider than I can think of. in the book, or in the world of Battlefield Earth, the Psychlos are ruled by the catrists. Psychiatrists.
Yeah.
And they're a book of, or pardon me, they're the catrists, or whatever they call them, are a group of evil charlatans. Then they use surgical mind control and electroshock in order to maintain power. So a thinly veiled illusion for, Mr. Hubbard's views of how psychiatrists on Earth have domination over people.
Yeah. And that all comes from, if I remember correctly, from Going Clear, the fact that Dianetics was like rejected by whatever the governing psychiatry board is as like a legitimate, as just seeing like it as being seen as a legitimate form of psychiatry.
Yeah.
And that led to a lifelong grudge.
It's amazing. I think what makes Battlefield Earth such an interesting, vaguely religious artifact is that the religion of Scientology is, as many people know, really the whole thing is just based on Elrond trying to create a world in his image where the people he doesn't like are punished, and the people who will kiss his ass are, elevated, certainly not on his level, but elevated to being his servants, basically. It's like such an insanely vindictive and self-serving religion.
Also, their like target demographic for membership are people who probably would end up getting electroshock therapy if they went to see a psychiatrist.
Right. So,
not that there's anything inherently wrong with that, but I can understand why it would be easy for Scientologists to demonize any sort of mental health professional.
Totally.
Hey, they got their own problems too, but I don't think Scientology is the answer. And now I'm probably going to be stalked for the rest of my life.
I don't know if they have the juice anymore. The Scientologists.
I haven't heard about it in a long time.
That's true.
They seem to be laying low. I think they kind of, maybe all the negative attention.
Well, they're
did a number on them.
They're definitely laying low on some respect, although they're around.
Mm-hmm. They have like Super Bowl ads now.
They ran Super Bowl ads. They have a 24-hour streaming channel that they're advertising all over Los Angeles.
Who does?
Really?
I mean, you go on your Roku TV. You probably have your own 24-hour streaming service.
I mean, there's a Walker Texas Ranger 24-hour streaming channel. I remember you telling me that, Julian.
There is?
So I guess...
on Pluto, there's one that's like one of those action channels that 9 times out of 10 you're going to find a Walker Texas Jr. episode on.
on the planet of Walker, the Rangers run. They say their eyes are upon you.
I'm getting a glass of Kerbango at CDs.
Yeah. No, they're around. They bought Scott. They bought that like media production land on Sunset. That was probably before you moved out of the city. They've had that for a couple of years.
Yeah,
and it says it's called like Scientology Productions, and like they've clearly been working out of there. There's this sushi place on my street, and one time I went there, and I go there like once a week. And one time I went there, and there were like Scientology business cards on the counter. Mm-hmm. I was like, when the fuck did the Scientologists like come in and convince the old lady who runs this place to put up like business cards on her counter? So they're around like missioning and stuff.
When I lived in Los Feliz, they would or East Hollywood, Los Feliz, Silver Lake border. If I was wearing like a sweater with an interesting pattern on it, I would get approached by a person asking, number one, are you an artist? Just out of nowhere.
Okay. Yeah.
Stranger walking up to you on the street asking you for an artist.
Okay.
I would say no. And then they would say, well, you might still find this interesting, and like try to give me a Scientology pamphlet. And I would politely say, thank you. Going away now. Walk directly into traffic so they can't follow me.
Yeah. As many know about Scientology in the Los Angeles area, they have a history of intentionally trying to target people involved in or aspiring to be involved in the arts, especially the film scene, Why? Because Los Angeles has a lot of broken people seeking acceptance and
Yes.
love who think that they can make it in the arts, and the constant disappointment that the city dishes out to you makes you vulnerable to anyone telling you that you belong anywhere.
Yeah. Honestly, if it weren't for a couple lucky breaks, I would probably be doing this. I would probably be doing Psychlo Bible study instead of
Yeah. Yeah.
You mean
our
boys'
rival
Psychlo studies.
boys Psychlo
Yeah.
studies instead of boys Bible study.
Our rival podcast. They won't stop sending us evil messages. I don't care for them very much. No, I agree. And I mean, it's like, not that we have to spend this episode getting into the whole history of Scientology. It's one of those things that I feel like everybody knows, although then I talk to people and I find out like, oh no, they don't. It's just like, unless you are particularly interested in it and have sought it out, you simply may not know much about them.
Yeah, I expected like a lot more retention from when South Park had an episode or two about Scientology. That seemed to be where it seemingly, probably because of my age and my friends, it seemed like every single person knew about Scientology and knew it, like viewed it as a joke. But since then, it feels like with many things, the public has seemingly forgot that they're bad. Scientology, the Holocaust, slavery, modern medicine,
Yeah, stuff like that.
not killing each other.
Stuff like that. This is kind of a while ago, but I was in an Uber with a talkative dumb person driving. Believe it or not, I know that'll never you'll never believe that. But it was just like a woman about my age. She was kind of young, and she was driving around. There was a billboard for Scientology, and she just said out loud, like, "Scientology. I wonder what that is." And I told her, was like, "Oh, you don't know what that is? I happen to know a lot about it. I could tell you." And I told her it was a cult and she should avoid it. But because I do firmly believe, it's up for debate, and Scientology has, over the years, I can't remember their status right now, but over the years they have won legal protection as a religion. But my opinion as someone who studies religion is that they are in fact a cult, and a very dangerous one, and one that people should avoid at all costs.
Those are your personal opinions. They
Yeah.
do
Yes.
not represent
Ash's
the viewpoint
opinions.
of the rest of us.
Yeah. They do not represent the views of boys Psychlo study.
of man animals Psychlo studies.
That's so good. A man animal Bible study.
It's funny because, by virtue of her operating a motor vehicle that you were in,
Right.
I feel like she had some leverage over you. She could have exercised to get you to
That's true.
join. That was something that I did not remember at all from the first time I watched this movie, was the fact that the term leverage is used probably more than the word crap.
It's like the point of this movie.
It's
Which is so funny.
It's so funny rewatching this and being like actually paying attention and trying to sort of like parse what is going on. The like weird ass themes, like motifs and recurring things are just like the fucking leverage thing was just like,
No. That is a very odd concept. We'll get into it a little more, but the fact that this movie is so preoccupied with the idea of characters having leverage on each other. And I don't think that's exactly a teaching of Scientology, but we do know that a lot of the history of Scientology is like people blackmailing and extorting each other, to the point where there are unconfirmed tabloid stories that John Travolta himself has like huge blackmail against him out by the Church of Scientology, and that's why he's like never spoken out about it, despite loved ones of his leaving the church. So it is kind of funny, even though Battlefield Earth is not exactly a religious piece of propaganda, it is still Scientology propaganda, and it is obsessed with characters double crossing and holding leverage on each other.
Actually, speaking of the leverage against John Travolta, potential leverage, when did this movie come out again? 2000?
2000, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And the movie Michael, where he plays an angel, came out in 96,
Which we should watch.
which we may or may not be watching soon for our Hollywood block.
Love to for Hollywood block.
City of
I
Angels.
should get really bad food poisoning again, so it can be like the first time I watch that movie. I'm gonna import water from central Mexico so I can drink again.
So you can have the experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember
really liking it when I was in between violent puking and shitting.
Did we watch that together, or was that Powder?
No, we watched
We watched
Powder
Powder.
together.
That was fun. Yeah. So actually, let's talk about maybe one of the first things we should talk about is let's do our best to fill in any of the sort of cultural or historical context for this film. You know, obviously, none of us are total experts, but we will do our best to try to set the scene, because thinking about where John Travolta was in Hollywood at the time of this release in 2000, I think is pretty important to understanding the film, because my understanding of his career at this time is that he was in a sort of weird place where he was both extremely famous, but also in like a distinct flop era. He had a bit of a career comeback with Pulp Fiction, which got him an Oscar nomination and just a lot of acclaim.
That was like 92 or whatever. And that was like his first comeback.
Must be. Yeah. But it seems like since that film, since Pulp Fiction, he was in a steady decline, and he was not, he's technically a big name in this movie. And I mean, he's sort of lasted the test of time in a way. Like, not that he's like in movies now, but people still know him and, think of him as an all-time movie star.
Yeah.
But yeah, at this time, his presence in Battlefield Earth was not enough to get people to take it seriously.
Yeah. And it was hot off the heels of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Ah, good point.
And it's funny because I think that movie holds up as critically panned as it was at the time. It's not a good movie, but it is a lot of fun. And this is a movie that is neither good nor fun.
Right.
With some awesome special effects, I will say. But I think that they thought the time was right. I don't know. Apparently, John Travolta was able to demand a lot of money for this movie, which David Miscavige blames him specifically and his paycheck for this movie as the reason why it was a huge bomb.
Ah,
That's really funny.
I see.
Yeah. Just funny because it's like David Miscavige is like famously wants to be Tom Cruise, but then he also has like John Travolta, who he clearly hates.
So funny that John Travolta is like Tom Cruise's Wario in Scientology.
I also think it's probably, I have no idea if this is true or not, but there are a lot of rumors that John Travolta is gay.
Yes, there are.
And Scientology is virulently homophobic.
True.
And so I think maybe that's why they'll only throw him a bone a couple times in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And I believe maybe that's the leverage they have over him.
People say that that's the case. It's very interesting. There's this really funny. It's like from a couple years ago. It's this some tabloid story that's just like it's presented as like a feel good tabloid story. It's just like John Travolta introduced himself to this man at 3 a.m. at the gym.
Yeah.
And it's just like a picture of a guy like taking a smiling photo with John Travolta because like they were at fucking like Planet Fitness or whatever at 3 a.m. and John Travolta just walks up to this hot guy and is like, "Hey, what's up? I'm John Travolta." And yeah, wondering about John's ulterior motives. Yeah. We can only speculate. But speaking of Scientology's involvement in the film, I don't believe that Scientology was directly officially involved, but some things are true. One is that in order to make the film, they had to purchase the rights of the film from Scientology,
Yeah.
from the institution that holds L. Ron Hubbard's copyrights. So we know for a fact, and I mean, Scientology is made up of so many different corporations that, you know, they all sort of serve the same purpose, but they're all different entities. But, you know, we know for a fact that it started from there, for millions of dollars going to L. Ron Hubbard. According to Wikipedia, the Author Services Inc., which controls Hubbard's copyrights, so that's the company I was just referring to, said that it was donating its share of the profits from the film to charitable organizations that direct drug education and drug rehabilitation programs around the world. Now, does anyone here who knows about Scientology know what organization that must mean? A Scientology-related organization that has to do with drug rehabilitation. It's called Narconon.
Oh, is that really?
So-
I had no idea that Narconon was.
Yes, so Narconon, mind you, that's spelled narco,
Not-
Narco,
That's a different one
N-O-N,
than
then Narc-Anon.
They're doing the Asylum movie
Yes.
thing for
drug
Narcotics
rehabilitation.
Anonymous.
Yes.
That's great.
I remember reading about Narconon in Going Clear, the famous Scientology tell-all
Yeah.
book. And I know that one of their things is that they have people detox from drugs by taking a lot of magnesium and going in the sauna. That's like a big thing for them. And anyway, it's great that like Author Services Inc. was like, oh no, listen, we're donating the funds from these to drug rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Of course, another company directly related to Scientology that uses its money in questionable ways to do like pseudo health things to
Well, this-
drug addicts.
I mean, this is also like the Christian movie playbook too.
I know that's
Yeah.
amazing.
yeah.
That's a really good point, actually.
Are those poppers right there?
Oh yeah, do you want
Can I-
some?
yeah, let me hit those.
Yeah, of course.
Let's talk about Narconon.
Yeah, let's do some drugs. Anyways,
jealous.
hold the mic up to your face when you step. There we go. Oh, we can hear that a little bit.
The breath
He got cycloned. Here, put this on. It helps you breathe.
Put it in your eyes.
Yeah. Also, Author Services Inc. donated money to a company called Applied Scholastics, which is another, believe it or not, Scientology company, and it promotes Hubbard's study technology. So
Which
all
is
passing light to
light
each other.
beams going
Yeah.
into your eyes, right? Light particles going straight into your eyes.
hello,
Yeah.
I am your Scientology instructor. More to say.
See that motherfucker stuck in a dryer. Lowly language tutor gets stuck in dryer.
They should.
Excuse me, but I am your instructor if you will forgive such arrogance, for I do not have the honor to be a Psychlo. I am but a lowly Klingo language slave. As you are listening to me, I most likely do not exist, as we may have been exterminated, like many other races, by the gas drones of our conquerors. Please forgive my pretension as I try to educate you in Psychlo, the noble language of our superiors.
They should have had more of that guy in the movie. That's my biggest complaint.
Totally. Yeah, more to say about him. But just my final thought on Church of Scientology's involvement in the film. Travolta's manager, Jonathan Crane, denied that the Church of Scientology was playing any part in the production. He said, I have never dealt with them, period. This movie has nothing to do with Scientology. That being said, Travolta, in several interviews, talked about how Battlefield Earth was an amazing book and L. Ron Hubbard was a wonderful author. And John Travolta claimed it was always his dream to bring Battlefield Earth to life. Keep in mind, however, that this is actually the second attempt to bring Battlefield Earth to life. In the 80s, Hubbard himself was trying to produce Battlefield Earth.
Wow.
Sounds like he raised a couple $1 million. He was going to base the casting in the city of Denver, Colorado.
Whoa.
And it was going to be that he organized, there was going to be like a contest where if you won, you could get a walk-on part in the film. This is a funny fact. A 30-foot high inflatable figure of the character Terl was erected by Scientology officials on Hollywood Boulevard in 1984, but the project collapsed and Hubbard died in 1986.
Oh, damn.
Man.
Imagine walking to, get your new brew at the corner store, and in the middle of Hollywood Boulevard, there's just a 30-foot high inflatable of famous Battlefield Earth character Terl. How would you feel about that?
Just another day in Hollyweird, my
Yeah,
friend.
that's true.
For real.
Just another one of those zany characters we have out
Yep.
here.
I'm grabbing a Coke Zero one moment.
Terl. So about Terl, maybe we should go over a little bit about the story if we can if it's even possible.
If it's
succinctly.
even possible.
Describe it. We are 3,000 years into the future. It is the year 3000.
Sure.
So if you're listening to this in the year 0, we are 3,000 years in the future. Humanity is nearly extinct. Boy, do they stink. They're a bunch of cavemen running around. And very quickly, it's revealed that, that we're in a post-apocalyptic society as Johnny Goodboy, played by Barry
Johnny
Pepper.
Goodboy.
You know what? That sounds like you're making that up, but I think
That
you're
is-
correct.
I looked it up.
No,
a
that's,
second ago.
that's really a statement.
Johnny Goodboy, played by Barry Pepper, goes out to... Man, I feel so bad for everyone except for John Travolta in this movie because, he was the only person who was really excited about this, but Forrest Whitaker, man, he's a really good actor, and I guess Barry Pepper is a good actor too. I looked it up. Apparently he's won some awards recently, so
Yeah,
I assumed his career was like done after this movie. I was I was relieved to see that he's okay, even though I don't really like his face or his acting, or actually I don't give a shit. I wish his career was ruined by this movie. He leaves his cave person, village, and braves the dangerous
Cave person animal.
wilds.
You say now?
Yeah, cave person animal braves the wilds of the greater Denver metropolitan area, where he encounters all kinds of monsters, which are revealed to be ceramic statues from like an overgrown miniature golf course. These motherfuckers are stupid. Like there is a 30-second scene where he's like attacking a monster, and then it's revealed to just be like a sculpture of like a cartoon dinosaur that's just standing there.
Yes.
It's important to note how completely stupid these cavemen are, given what they're able to accomplish at the end of the movie, which seems to be probably less than 3 months after this point. But Goodboy and a couple other cave people he encounters are captured by some like 9-foot tall Rastafarian coneheads known as Psychlos, who are currently occupying our planet Earth in a glass encased city, which I guess is Denver or nearby Denver, because they go to the Denver Public Library later.
I think it is Denver because L. Ron Hubbard just seems to have, he likes Denver.
Yeah, it's a beautiful part of the world. I think as Americans, we don't really appreciate the nature that we have here mostly because we have so many fucking strip malls and so much bullshit trying to make us not explore. But Colorado is an extremely beautiful part of the world. And, respect to L. Ron Hubbard for recognizing that. It is very, very bizarre to see the human resistance in the year 3000 spring up in Denver, Colorado. But, whatever. That's besides the point. Anyways, Terl, played by John Travolta, is the security commander of the Psychlos inhabiting Denver, Colorado, and he is he despises his role on Earth. It's seemingly a position meant to punish him for being such an unlikable person by the Psychlos, who I guess are all employed by a corporation called Home Planet. It was kind of unclear if they were referring to the planet Psychlo as Home Planet or the corporation that they work for as Home Planet. Mm-hmm. But they're basically trying to strip the Earth of its resources, and Psychlo and his assistant Kerr, played by Forrest Whitaker, discover a vein of gold in nearby Colorado, which their plan is to... This fucking thing makes no sense. Their plan is, because there's a lot of radiation in the area, and Psychlos can't be exposed to radiation because they die immediately. But humans, on the other hand, in this world, for some reason, are okay with radiation. Didn't really understand that. But their plan is to, behind Home Planet's back, and use human, what do they call them? People animals?
Man animals.
Man animals.
Use man-animal labor to mine the gold from the nearby mountains in order for Terl and Kerr to get rich, but also show Home Planet that they can use humans as slaves, which I don't even understand what the point of them like capturing humans is if they weren't already using them as slaves. It's a very weirdly like anti-corporate message, like anti-corporate pro-nature message that doesn't really make any sense. It is very clearly the work of a man who is on a lot of cocaine.
Yeah,
and other amphetamines, which is famously how L. Ron Hubbard was able to write several 1,000-page novels in the span of like 2 years.
Watching this movie this time reminded me a lot of the concept of Audience of One.
Say more.
Remember that documentary? You know,
yeah.
About the Pentecostal preacher who sees Star Wars,
making his own Star Wars
as the first movie he's ever seen at the age of 40, and then 6 months later he tells his congregation that it turns out God wants him to make the greatest movie of all time. And then he's basically he is like, in all his elaborate explanation, it's like, oh yeah, so you just want to make Star Wars, got it. And it seems kind of like the same thing here, because the concept is just like, Terl, I found gold, but Star Wars.
Yes, this movie feels like if you've ever worked on a movie set before, this is the kind of movie idea that would come from a guy who has been working in the lighting department for the past 50 years, and he's just waiting for his like. This is his idea of the movie that he wants to make.
Totally.
And those people, sadly, are all Lyft drivers now. So if you've ever taken a Lyft in Hollywood, you will probably hear a very similar movie ideas to this one.
Yeah, you can tell this is a movie made by someone who shouldn't be making movies because, among other things, it has so many stupid, unnecessary details.
Yeah.
Lore having to do with the corporate hierarchies of an interplanetary race that we just don't need to hear. It doesn't change anything about the movie other than adding like tedious memorization to it. That's just like one aspect of this movie that
Totally
makes it ineffective.
Unnecessary made up words.
Yeah.
And like affects, like I think I said earlier, but they refer to, I wrote down a small list of them. Humans are man animals.
Right.
Your head is called your skull bone.
That's so stupid.
Cameras are called pictocameras. Air is called breath gas.
That is so stupid.
At one point, somebody says you're going to blow a head gasket. The word crap head is used over and over again. And also crap is like for some reason the Psychlos don't swear other than the word crap. And the word leverage constantly, which I had to think was like, this is intentionally done.
Yeah.
The amount of times they're saying leverage and the concept of getting leverage.
Yeah, right.
On each other. Yeah. So that was I'm sure there's many. I mean, there was, Kerbango, which apparently is some sort of nutritional drink or something. Character says happy as a baby Psychlo on a straight diet of Kerbango.
That is so stupid.
Yeah, there's just a lot of this stuff that is just like, I don't know, the spirit of inspiration was waxing and waning at manic paces while writing this novel.
Yeah, Skullbone is like the worst one to me of that because it's like there's no reason. It doesn't make your world more vivid to just do Control F the word skull and then replace it with Skullbone. Like that doesn't make the world better. Oh, and the other thing I was gonna say was like, unfortunately, and listen, I respect Star Wars. It's not my favorite franchise, but like you'd be a fool if you didn't respect how formative the first Star Wars trilogy was on film and science fiction history.
Yeah.
But Star Wars also ruined so many people. Like the fact that film existed and allowed L. Ron Hubbard to think that like, oh, if we just did Star Wars but worse, then people will eat it up. Like it's like George Lucas just has the gas. Like, I don't know why that works, but it does.
In a way, it feels like this was made by a person who's never seen Star Wars or Star Trek and has only seen the things that failed before it and afterwards.
That's
it feels very like 1950s, like shitty sci-fi thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just in how completely fucking tedious everything in this movie is. At certain points, I was very charmed by the nonstop canted angles and like very like campy acting. I was like, this could be a really fun movie, but then it was just so fucking stupid.
No, I think that was what got me the first time when I watched it. I was like, wow, this is so like, there's something so like exuberant about it because like some people involved were clearly trying very hard.
It's like at times it's fun and it has like a funny sense of humor, but then it's just, it takes itself so seriously at other times that you're like, what are you trying to say?
It's dastardly. Absolutely dastardly.
I feel like if they had just not had
Did
cavemen,
they use that word in the movie?
Probably.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot wrong with this movie. A lot of opportunities to have a fun movie here that they failed miserably at. I think the whole caveman thing makes me feel like this is very like pulpy early 20th century sci-fi novel or whatever.
Like Planet of the Apes, but like not as well executed.
Yeah.
I also want to add, just speaking of the plot of this film, I absolutely refuse to explicate basically anything in the second half of the movie. Like us trying to explain like how they take advantage of the the fucking Psychlos and get into it. It's just like
no sense.
It makes no sense. I absolutely refuse to explain it.
There's a point where Johnny Goodboy is pointing a gun at Terl and then gives him the gun for absolutely no reason. And why Terl needs gold, why gold is valuable to a alien race that can cross fucking galaxies. Why do they need gold? I don't understand. It's like a moron's idea of just like, well, gold will always be.
Yeah, everybody loves gold.
Yeah. It's
always worth something.
I've said this before, but our mutual friend who I used to live with would tell me that he was buying a bunch of gold jewelry so that when the grid goes down, he can use it as leverage.
Right.
If he needed to gain safe passage through a place. And I was just like, in what fucking world will the grid go down and gold will be worth anything?
Right. Like you
Why
still
wouldn't somebody
want
just,
that.
Yeah.
and not like
What-
food and water
Yeah.
and air gas or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Breath gas.
Why the declaration? I mean, the parts with the Declaration of Independence and like cavemen flying the fighter jets and going to like Fort Knox in Washington, D.C. was awesome.
That was
I actually really liked that.
Really cool. Yeah, let's talk about that because it is definitely one of the best parts of the film.
Yeah, which is like a very Christian movie of just like L. Ron Hubbard's L. Ron Hubbard's philosophy of like America being the greatest country on the earth
Yes.
is so in line with so many of the Christian movies we watch in a world where the entire planet Earth has been taken over by Psychlos. 1,000 years into the future from the date that this movie was released, we can still confidently say that America had it right. No matter how much you and your little lefty friends want to say otherwise, we've got it figured out.
Our forefathers specifically.
Yeah.
Yes, and not only is America always right, but like the Declaration of Independence still hits as a piece of literature. Like the fact that a man animal in the year 3000 can start reading it and then he just looks at the sky enraptured.
Yes.
Because one of the best parts of this film is that as a part of Curl?
Yeah.
Is that John Travolta?
Terl.
Terl, pardon me.
Yeah.
There's Terl and Kerr. How could I possibly mess that up?
Yeah.
As a part of Terl's insane plan to use the labor of man animals who most in his race don't even think are smart enough to use simple tools, much to less work. He decides that Johnny Goodboy has some potential and he hooks him up to a Matrix-style education machine that if Johnny Goodboy looks at it, it just kind of like beams a weird light into his face and it kind of looks like it hurts, but it also teaches you things very quickly.
For some reason, it has a hologram of like a little salamander guy.
Yeah.
Who is so sad.
Yes.
And you see him for 5 seconds in the movie.
And he says, "Hello, I am your lowly language teacher."
I wish that guy was in this movie
fetish.
way more.
I know they could have had their Jar Jar moment.
Yes,
Exactly.
dude.
He could have
That
been
is
their
probably
Jar
what they
Jar.
were thinking.
I know, but they didn't commit to it, which is very sad.
He reminded me of Mac
yeah.
and Me.
In this 2-hour long
That's where
movie.
they ended up.
Yeah. But Mac had Riz.
race.
Mac has Riz. This guy's such a fucking cuck.
I know.
They
yeah.
put Johnny Goodboy in the cuck chair and made him talk to the cuck.
They did. Oh, and that scene when like the other man animals find him and they're like, they take him out of the light and he's like, "No, I want to do it." And then he like, sits back down and does it again because he learns that the education will set him free. If he becomes educated like the Psychlos, who the Psychlos basically are educated to the extent of like a current human with a bachelor's degree.
Yes.
That's sort of like the knowledge they have. Like they know some geometry, they know some history.
Yeah. The Psychlos are very stupid.
They're pretty stupid. Yeah.
Not to say, I mean, not to say you're stupid if you have a bachelor's degree, but you could be.
You
And
can.
These
You
Psychlos
can
are
be.
they lack a lot of street smarts.
Absolutely.
For instance, plucking out a slave who is showing a strong desire to overthrow his slavers and saying, "I see potential in you. I'm going to educate you on everything in the galaxy,
including how to teaching you how to fly, how to use this gun,
use nuclear weapons."
Yeah.
But they fucked up when they taught him about the Declaration of Independence.
They did because for all the education of the Psychlos, it's not until Johnny Goodboy reads the Declaration of Independence that his ears are lifted towards heaven's music or whatever you want to say. I think took that quote from an Everything Is Terrible clip. That's like, why not lift your ears to heaven's music?
It's funny
That's
because
sort of what he goes through.
Inspires the other cavemen with saying that like our planet was all about like freedom.
Right.
when he's reading a document that like explicitly states like certain people are not humans.
Right. There were actively slaves at the time, and he's like, based on this document, it turns out there's not supposed to be slaves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I feel like, he was trying to give an inspirational speech, not fucking teach a Howard Zinn class.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome if there was a Psychlo called Zinn, who was like, he was always, getting people to read between the lines.
Yeah.
Or there was a man animal named Zinn. That would be so funny.
Asking too much. They really should have had more interesting man animal characters.
I know.
They were pretty lacking in personality.
Yeah, they were very just like basic action movie. Their only desires were to survive, and like, they were sort of these like noble savage type characters where they lived in tribes, but they had very strong ideas about like family and like tribe and care, and that was basically the only motivation they had. Kind of circling back to the beginning, but go on.
They didn't even give that much to Forrest Whitaker, really. Like they had Forrest Whitaker, and then he was just kind of like sidekick.
He's been on record as saying he really regrets doing this movie. So I wonder how much of that was his own desire.
Yeah, I think he did Ghost Dog the year before this.
Yeah, wow, what a fucking whiplash that must have been.
Yeah,
it must be so fun to be an actor. It just would be so cool to just, you do Ghost Dog one year, and then the next year you do fucking
Battlefield Earth.
Battlefield Earth. You get to wear like platform shoes and giant dreadlocks. Talk about Kerbango and Terl.
That look like. Did y'all think the hands of the Psychlos looked like they were like elf hands that were gloves you get from like a Halloween store?
Yeah. I would not be surprised if that was what they were. I read a quote from the lighting director on this movie, and he said it was by far the lowest budget for his department that he had ever worked with.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's didn't this movie cost almost $100 million?
Well, there's a lot of debate about that too. Apparently the production company was lying about a lot of the money.
That's a theme in the movie too.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting.
It's almost as if the religion of Scientology is lying.
Yeah. It's like one of those people, it's like when you meet a person who is always talking about how like, they have enemies.
Yes.
Or like, we used to be friends, but then they wronged me or whatever. Mm-hmm. Or like, why is everybody always so mean to me? It's like sometimes you gotta be like, well, maybe you're the problem.
Right. I just genuinely feel like based on this film, and I mean, I would really recommend anyone listening to read the book Going Clear. Scientology, they have a lot of pseudo-spiritual ideas about being present in the body. There's the idea of thetans, which, if I remember correctly, are sort of like spiritual manifestations of your trauma going back generations that you want to clear from the body. But I really think that the religion of Scientology is like, it just kind of like replicates the vicious hierarchies of Earth.
Yeah.
But in a micro scale, and the point of battling through it is kind of basically like, well, if you can battle through Scientology and survive, then you can probably battle through Earth and survive. Yeah. Like, it almost seems like it's a quote unquote religion that's just like teaching you that life isn't fair by creating unnecessary hierarchies and labor and leverage and all these things that are very unfair about life on Earth, and saying that, well, you have to get the better of these things.
Yeah. I mean, I think they've copied a lot of the hierarchy from like the Catholic Church.
Mhm.
And honey, you ain't the Catholic Church. They're front runners, you know. They're acting like, you know, a real big religion, but as soon as you say like, "Oh, your building's ugly," they're like, "We'll fucking kill you. My building's not ugly."
Yes.
And it's like, dude, act like you've been there before.
That's so true.
Just be like, whatever. I believe in this stuff. I don't care what you have to say.
Right.
Instead, they send out people with pictures of squirrels and GoPros on their head and follow you around if you say anything bad. It's like, dude, just fucking don't give the haters more ammo. Just do your thing and you know, you'll be happy. But that doesn't seem like a very happy religion right now. It makes me sad.
Yeah, for real. No, they've always been like the butthurt religion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, now they don't even really have like the gas behind him. But you know, even back then, it was just like, yeah, they just felt so insecure.
Yes.
Everything about them was just so insecure.
They got imposter syndrome.
I think they do. Yeah, there's got to be some e-meter stuff you can do to get rid of that.
For real.
But they haven't figured it out. But yeah, I just think about like, you know, if you read Going Clear, Scientology, it's literally like making through different levels, reporting to a mentor, doing your e-meter readings with them, you know, just working through all these, taking classes. And it's just like, that's just Earth. Like, that's just what we have to do in normal life. Like,
Right.
at least Christianity, Buddhism, basically every religion doesn't say that like you have to be audited by your pastor like to ascend to the next heaven rank or whatever.
Terminology is all bad.
Yeah, the terminology just, it reminds me of going to work.
Yeah.
It reminds me of going to school.
I mean, that's the type of people that they prey on is people who can't, you know, you get to a certain point in your life and there's just total lack of structure and guidance.
Right.
And for a lot of people, not everyone, but through your like development to like right before the end of your like brain mental development, you are just like thrust into the world with no structure. And for a lot of creative people, especially, that's like very scary.
Sure.
Because, you know, you could go and get a job at an office and try to work your way up, and that in its own way is like a version of Scientology. So what they do is they just give you that fucking structure of being like, you know, it's like people who, as soon as they graduate, like they get good grades all through school and college or whatever, and then you get into the real world and nobody's giving you a fucking grade.
Right.
And you don't know what to do.
I think that's very smart. No, I think you're right. I think it's like, you know, it's kind of like it's like a secret society. It's like the Masons maybe, or even like on a more innocent level, like on the Boy Scouts or something.
Yeah.
Like to use Boy Scouts as an example, like that's a school or work like environment for kids where you add additional structure into your life by like getting badges and going, you know, to seminars and like blah, 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 and doing things.
Right.
And yeah, it's about, as you said, giving additional structure.
People crave material rewards.
They do. They really do.
And why do they hate psychiatry and psychology? Because it's all about trying to find rewards within yourself.
Interesting.
No, I mean, I think there's really something there, like other than L. Ron's personal vendetta against psychiatry. There is the idea that you can get better with the materials inside yourself.
Yeah.
I think is threatening to the culture of Scientology.
Yeah. Which is weird because that's like kind of what they're about.
Right.
But they're like, you can only do it with us.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what's so sort of phony about it. Yeah. Go on.
It is interesting how much like the Psychlos are like the kind of represent like, not intentionally, but like represent like the more horrific stories of higher ups in Scientology as well. Like they like Well, like grabbing land and like taking your gold and stuff, getting you to get it for them.
Yeah. That's what I think is so interesting about this movie, about Battlefield Earth, is that even though I definitely would not call it a religious movie, I think that its propagandistic function within Scientology is just to be like, oh, look how cool and futuristic, like create positive associations with science fiction and Scientology. I don't think that the characters in the movie are supposed to be like good people to aspire to in Scientology, but I do think that Hubbard's really bizarre obsession with hierarchies and blackmailing other people is like so present in Battlefield Earth that it actually like does show what the worldview of Scientology is like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting that it didn't have the traditional Scientology aesthetic, but it was still horrifically ugly in its own right.
I think they were still figuring that out at the time. They didn't quite have that down yet.
It's just, I mean, that is so fascinating to me that could draw anybody into anything. It's just like these crazy, weird, like flying gold letters and like stock footage of clouds moving really fast is like what I think of when I think of Scientology.
So cool.
Right. Well, seeing all the AI stuff people look at now, it's not that surprising.
Oh,
there he is. Uh-oh, the Psychlo's got him. The Psychlo's got him.
Hold on, let me
I learned
Psychlo. My lowly language tutor.
Oh, she's sweet but a Psychlo. Psychlo killer.
Stuck in my head. I thought the way they did the like languages was kind of cool. I liked when somebody said something important and it would just echo for like 30
Oh, that was very
seconds.
funny. Yeah, that was very charming.
What was the scene where Terl found out that his contract to stay on Earth was renewed?
Yes.
And the guy was like, and home planet has endless options to renew it. Endless options to renew it. Endless options
And he's
to
like
renew
looking around
it.
at all the ugly fucking Psychlos.
Yeah, and they're all like laughing at him. That was awesome.
It's a joke.
Oh, thank you, sir. I don't know if I could have kept my sanity to be here another 5 cycles.
We've decided to keep you here for another 50 cycles. With endless options for renewal. With endless options for renewal. With endless options for renewal.
The human animals, the man animals learning the term piece of cake was pretty cool. Really, really fucking stupid.
Really, really stupid.
Yeah.
Let them
we
eat
talk
cake,
about how the
said
movie
Terl.
ends.
Yes.
For real.
He did say that. Yeah, how does the movie end?
So the man animals come up with a plan to start a revolt inside of the domed Psychlo colony in Denver. And the plan is to get all of the Psychlos inside of the dome, and then a squad of man animals, cavemen, will fly F-16 fighter jets over to the dome and blow it up from the outside, shattering the glass because Psychlos can't breathe the Earth's atmosphere. And so that will kill all of them because they won't be wearing their breathing apparatus. There's a lot of shit about how like Psychlos can't breathe Earth's atmosphere and humans can't breathe Psychlos' atmosphere. So there is probably like 40 minutes of stuff based around that.
I know, it's so tedious.
And then it becomes like the central point to defeating the Psychlo occupation.
Yep.
And once that is successful, the plan is to hijack Terl's teleportation platform, which is sending him back to planet Psychlo, where I wish Earth was called Planet Human.
It'd be so
That'd be
sick.
cool.
Actually, I want to make an Elon Musk Occupy Mars shirt, but it says Occupy Psychlo. That's what I've been thinking about. Like,
It's a good idea.
movie. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they're where one caveman will be taking a nuclear bomb to planet Psychlo, where he will detonate it because conveniently the entire planet of Psychlo's atmosphere is extremely reactive to radiation and will, as you see when it happens, blow up the entire planet with one nuclear warhead.
It's pretty fucked up.
It's crazy that like the inside of the planet exploded and it was just completely vaporized.
Yeah.
Crazy that there would be a planet that is like that. It's almost like that's not how that works at all.
They're just
I
all
gotta
bad.
say-
All Psychlos are bad.
Yeah, that too. Like, you know, I don't know, whatever.
I got to commend you, Julian. I thought you did an excellent job at explaining the end of this movie.
Oh, well, it's not
You
over
really did.
Well, I guess not.
because the little cherry on top is that the cavemen have found Fort Knox and they have been fooling Terl into thinking they were mining by going and getting gold from Fort Knox while they were training, learning like how to use military equipment.
Right.
I'm doing my best to explain
I think
this
you're doing
movie.
great.
So I'm sorry if it doesn't make any sense, but if you haven't seen this movie, watch and tell me if I'm missing anything, because I don't think I am. But yeah, so they end up locking Terl in Fort Knox at the end, where that's like the last shot of the movie is fucking 9 foot tall Rasta John Travolta inside a fucking vault of gold in like a cage.
It's like Raiders
Yeah.
of the Lost Ark style too. It like keeps
Yeah.
pulling out. It's like there's so much gold and you're all alone. They'll never find you.
Yeah, and they were doing like Star Wars wipes and stuff the whole time, which is
my
really
God, the
funny.
whole time.
And yeah, so it ends with Terl locked inside a vault of gold to suffer the rest of his life.
Yes.
And Kerr is working for the humans now
Yes.
because he was abused in the workplace by Terl.
By,
Yep.
Yes, by the Psychlos.
And they said, we're going to
He's
blow
on
up your
the
whole home planet. He's like, okay, I'm on your guys' side.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there is something to be said about being a nice coworker with all this, because if Terl had just been a likable person, none of this would be an issue.
I know.
But he
Literally this whole
is
movie.
so mean to everyone.
His meanness trickle down effect caused the demolition of planet Psychlo.
Yes.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, an amazing showing by Johnny Goodboy, you know, king of the man animals. You know, with that said, with the end of the movie explicated, I just wanted to like refer to a couple funny details from just throughout the whole movie as in general, because again, trying to piece this chronologically, completely impossible. Just to give an idea of some of the stupid world building in this film. In like the first 10 minutes of the film, they're wandering through what's obviously the ruins of a city, and the hunters are telling Johnny Goodboy, the humans had gates with golden arches.
Yes.
It's like, come on.
And they would drive like magical vehicles through and food would appear.
Right.
Also, they thought statues were like people frozen.
Yes. They they thought they were frozen gods, and they had stories about all of them. A very funny, this is like just so like, oh, the screenwriter thinks he's so clever. World building is the Psychlos apparently believed that dogs were the superior race of Earth because the humans did everything for them.
Yeah, I thought
It's
that
like,
was
oh,
kind of
ha
funny.
ha ha. Yeah, this is kind of cute.
It was cute.
There's-
Same with the scene where they're spying on the why did they fucking let the humans just go and are spying
doesn't
on?
make any
None of
sense.
these plans make any sense. It is not a real surprise at the end that this tomfoolery led to the downfall of their entire race, because these Psychlos are fucking stupid. But there's the part where they were spying on the man animals eating rats, and they were like, that's their favorite food. Look at how they savor it when the like cavemen are like disgusted, like trying to stomach rats that they've caught because they're so hungry. I thought that was kind of funny. The screenwriter, by the way, had nothing to do with Scientology. He just took this as a job.
That makes sense.
And he was like very surprised to find out that it was like, he said he has like a bunch of interviews where he talks about how bizarre it was, like taking this job and being like so happy to get like a job writing a movie. And then he's like going to all these banquets and stuff where he's being like treated like a celebrity. And then he realized that it was like all Scientology stuff. And he was just like, whatever, I'm just going to do this. And he has since written a few either interviews or he has an article in the New York Post that's like apologizing for writing one of the worst movies ever made.
Wow. What about the director who has the name Roger Christian?
Interesting.
He actually directed one of the movies we've covered.
Is that true?
Yeah. Joseph
what's
and
that?
Mary, 2016, with Kevin Sorbo as Joseph.
What?
Wow.
That is crazy. Great find. I did not notice that.
Pretty wild.
The director of Battlefield Earth. That movie is pretty dry.
Yes.
I don't even remember that one.
I don't know if you watched that
That's
one.
not the one with
Julian.
Joaquin Phoenix, right?
No. I don't think
That's
you watched this
Mary-
one. I think it
Mary
was just me and
Magdalene.
Scott.
Okay.
This was
Yeah,
like
was
a
it?
Bible Times style. I think it was. This was just like a Bible Times style,
Very
Historical
clean Bible
fiction.
Times. Like,
Okay.
that like had like a landline type of move. I don't know. Just like, I guess this works.
Roger Christian was also a second unit director for several Star Wars movies.
Well, there you go. We
Ah.
got a guy from Star Wars. Hey, we got somebody from Star Wars
Right.
to work on this thing.
Definitely. I just love looking at Travolta on the cover of the
So
Battlefield Earth
good. I was
poster.
trying
He
to
looks
figure out
amazing.
how to do him for Halloween this year.
Oh, that would be so good. I feel like you could do it.
I guess I could get a cone head thing, a Rasta wig.
Here's the problem, and I'm just gonna say this. I
Elf hands.
think that a lot of people who just simply don't know better are gonna assume you're trying to do one of the Matrix twins, unless you like really do it hard.
Yeah, you're right. It's
Now-
crazy that the Matrix twins are just Psychlos.
Basically, what if in the story of the Matrix they were actually just like Psychlos that went to planet Earth to help the humans or something? Because they have a very different costume, mind you. And I think anyone who's seen Battlefield Earth will immediately know what you're
Yeah.
doing. But I think like some people will see you and be like, "Oh, are you from the Matrix?"
Yeah, you're
And they'll
right.
say, "No, I'm a Psychlo."
I want to go as the lady Psychlo.
Oh my god, let's
Yeah.
talk about the lady
Tongue.
Psycho.
With the tongue.
She was kind of hot.
Let's talk
I'm not
about the
gonna
lady
lie.
Psycho. Everyone can agree. Your first crush as a kid. Let's all count to
sexual
3
awakening.
and say what our sexual awakening was in film. 1, 2, 3. Lady Psycho. And she was very hot.
Yeah.
There's for no reason, out of nowhere, she's like, we'll have a family together, and then like it takes her tongue out of her mouth. It's really fucking long.
So long. It was like another weird thing where Terl was just taunting Kerr.
Right.
Yes. Kerr, I'd like you to meet Cher. She's
His soon-to-be newly acquired secretary.
yes.
Really?
She's stupid enough not to be a menace, good-looking enough to be decorative. She gets drunk with economical speed and has other advantages.
I can see that.
Don't you have some work to do? No. Kerr,
All right, sir.
now listen, Missy. I'm still waiting for the planet ship's accounts.
I had to go way beyond the call of duty to get these.
I see. Well, that's why I especially chose you.
So you'll keep your side of the bargain?
Which was
You said we were going to have a huge house when we go back to Psychlo next year. We're going to be rich, right?
Right.
I am going to make you as happy as a baby Psychlo on a straight diet of Perbango.
Very weird. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about her.
There was
Not just the
something
tongue.
about her. Yeah, her
Yeah.
personality.
She was a babe.
could-
A Psychlo
Yeah.
babe.
She could tie a square knot around your dick with that thing. She could do some Moby Dick style knots.
I deserve it.
Yeah.
I've earned it, I think, doing 5 years of this podcast.
Yeah. You've earned sloppy from a female Psychlo. Let me just tell you, it wouldn't be very sloppy. It would be well done. It would be very neat.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
They should have
Very
had
efficient.
a Psychlo sex scene.
Well,
I do think
yeah,
this
I
movie
agree.
would have been way better if it was rated R instead of PG-13. Just for
I
the cutting
totally
away
fucking
from
agree.
gore and kills in general. I was like, this looks really intentional. It looks like somebody made you do this so that it would be PG-13.
It was crazy they showed that cow's leg getting shot off, but they wouldn't show the like guy's head exploding. I don't know.
Yeah.
Terl's arm got blown off. They showed Kerr's hand get blown off. There's also something about like Psychlos not feeling pain, it seemed like. Multiple Psychlos get limbs blown off and don't react to them. There's also, really funny part when they were starting the like uprising and somebody was like, you got Psychlos moving in on you really fast. And whenever the Psychlos would move, because their shoes are so big and their costumes are so bulky, they can only like walk at like a less than brisk pace. So a lot of times when they're chasing somebody, they would just have to like appear around corners. Not a very intimidating alien race. I'm not going to lie. Don't really understand how humanity lost to these fools.
It
Yeah.
really
Well-
seemed like they planned for what they were going to look like without thinking at all about how that's going to come across on screen, like as far as movement goes in an action movie.
I would love to read a description of what L. Ron Hubbard says a Psychlo looks like, because this must be pretty close to what it says in the book. When did the book come out?
Must have been the 80s at least.
Okay.
Because the movie, they tried to make a movie between 1982 and 6.
Right.
So it could have been earlier than that. Oh, 82.
1982. When did Predator come out? The
Mm,
movie?
that's a really good question.
Mid-80s?
So I just realized the subtitle of the novel Battlefield Earth is A Saga of the Year 3000.
Yes. 1987. I kind of hoped.
That's when Predator came out.
Yeah, I was really hoping that these guys were based on the Predator.
How about that headline I sent to y'all earlier?
The child predator? You're the second person to have
Oh
sent
my
me
God,
that.
that was so funny.
It's really funny.
Well, you're the first person who sent it to me, and I really liked it. They are going to... Disney introduces child predator in Predator Badlands. Come on,
Yeah.
guys.
Disney introduces child predator to the set of the movie Powder. He's the director.
Oh my fucking God.
It says that L. Ron Hubbard composed a companion soundtrack to the novel called Space Jazz, which we will be listening to when I drive you to the gym.
Space Jazz?
Sounds good. Space Jazz.
Money, you got some borrow. Just put your name on the dotted line. Paper, just signs of paper. Pay me back when you got the time.
Everybody get up. It's time to Space Jazz.
Which is funny because in Star Wars, the music that they play at the Mos Eisley Cantina is called jizz music.
Right. I've heard that.
Yeah. I don't know. That's not really related at all. I just wanted to say that.
Well, that just goes to show you.
Tickles-
Actually,
it
I think why
tickles
that's
me.
related. Why that's related is it just goes to show you like why George Lucas has it and why L. Ron does not.
Yeah.
Like George Lucas will just be like, it's called jizz music, and you're like, yeah.
But you wouldn't know that unless you read like the back of a fucking toy
Well,
or
that's
something.
true. He doesn't need to say it in the movie.
L. Ron Hubbard would be like, have Terl be like, I love jizz music. Listen to it.
That's a really
this
good
music
point.
we call jizz music.
Yeah, George pretty much knew when to like just keep it in the story Bible, rather than like say it in the movie.
It's pretty smart. Like the characters are living in this fucking world, this crazy ass Star Wars world. They're not constantly being like, that's a freaking, that's a Gleeblorb, and that one there. It's like they're there. They know it's a fucking Gleeglorb.
Right.
You got to find that shit out on your own. Go ask Grok what that guy is.
Go ask Grok when he's 10 feet tall.
But it's like, for all you know, Darth Vader's a fucking robot or whatever.
Right.
Because they're never like, oh, he's a human guy inside of a giant
Yeah. Oh, he's your father.
thing. Yeah. They're just like, here
Figure
it
it
is.
out.
You figure it out.
Show, don't tell. World
Yeah.
building.
Mhm. 3 powerful words L. Ron Hubbard could have stood to have heard during his lifetime.
Show me jizz.
Show me the
music.
jizz.
Show me the jizz. Don't tell me about it.
Right.
Exactly. Honestly.
Any other details from Battlefield Earth we should be sure to say in our review? Last call?
I think I got everything.
No. Do either of you know why they went with so many Dutch angles, so many slanted low angles?
That's a really
of
good
things
question.
Constantly throughout the whole movie.
My theory is that the movie was so cheap looking that they had to do something to make it a little stylized, and maybe they were trying to go for like pulpy sci-fi kind of thriller looking thing.
Yeah. It makes sense. I buy
think
it.
That's very possible.
There was a shot at the end where like even at the very end they were like showing an exterior like straight on shot of Fort Knox, and it was still tilted just like 2 degrees. It was so funny.
It's really funny that every single shot in this movie is at a Dutch angle. I remember Scott teaching me what a Dutch angle was while we were watching this movie, because it describes literally every shot in the film.
Yes.
I really liked one of the fucking stupidest parts of the movie was after he goes on the Psychlo education machine and he goes back to his cell where the other humans are.
Yeah.
He like sits them down and he's like, this is a triangle.
Yeah.
The sum of the angles of the triangle is equal. And they're like, what are you talking about? It's just like, that was such a like dumb guy, smart guy
Yes.
moment where it's just like, you learn all this amazing stuff and then you go back to the humans and you're like,
Look, this symbol is called a triangle. If all these sides are equal, then these 3 angles must also be equal. Equal to what? To each other. It's the basic foundation of Euclidean geometry. Seems pretty hard to understand.
Like in their current condition, why would that be what he comes back with?
yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
It's so dumb, but it's still like, this is like shit you see on like your Instagram reels like every day. It's like videos that are basically that.
Absolutely.
He should have come back wearing a monocle and a top hat.
For real. I'm sapiosexual now. I can't have sex with you until you go on the Psychlo learning machine. I say let's review this wonderful film.
Yeah.
That allowed us to, take a break from the Christian dogma to try to learn about a worldly contemporary American religion, Scientology. And I would say taught us that, you know what? Christianity is fine with me.
Yeah.
Given the other options, I'm picking the lesser of 2 evils here.
Straight up, dude. And plus it's like, other religions, they get made fun of all the time.
I know.
And these guys can't handle it. That's why we can't be friends.
That's so fucking true. Like, Christians are used to it. They get it from all sides. And the fucking Scientologists, yeah, you say one mean thing about them, they start crying.
God.
Yeah. And you know what? When a Christian movie gets bad reviews, what happens? They keep making the next movie and then finish that one too.
Absolutely. You're right. There's follow through. And I will always appreciate that about the Christians. But yeah, what's our review?
This movie, Battlefield Earth, gave me a feeling that I don't normally get from movies, which is embarrassed to be a human, embarrassed to be a man animal. I found myself watching the humans, these primitive future humans, cheering in their jail cell enthusiastically, and I just thought, like, wow, I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
And that is why I have to give it 2 out of 2 viewings in one day, because I fell asleep the first time.
Wow.
Beautiful.
You had to watch this twice. Poor guy.
Well, you know, I actually, the second time I just started right before at that hologram scene.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, that's really all.
What was that guy's name again who talks so funny?
He didn't. I don't think he had a name. He said, well, let's see. I have the clip right here.
That's okay.
Excuse me, but I am your instructor. If you will forgive such arrogance, for I do not have the honor to be a Psychlo. I am but a lowly Kinko language slave.
He's a lowly Kukul language.
That's
slave.
So funny.
That's my jerk off instructor dog. I'm going to jail.
Go on Grinder looking for a lowly Kukul language slave.
Yeah.
If you will forgive my transgression.
That was the best part of the movie, and they barely. Maybe it's good that they didn't. That guy was only in it for 5 seconds, because any more, and they probably would have fucking figured out a way to ruin it.
Yeah, I know. No, they definitely ruined it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this 3,000 out of 3,000 years. AD, I guess. This was kind of like Scientology's version of Pilgrim's Progress in my mind.
Wow.
A book that is not
Psychlos
necessarily a part of the required texts, the required religious text, but it is crucial to understanding how the beliefs can be used in art.
Wow.
And it's a rip-roaring action adventure, just like Pilgrim's Progress.
That's right.
Yeah. The movie that I've said...
Kugel's Cabango.
The movie that I've put a ban on us doing any more adaptations ever again. Actually, I think it's been long enough since we did it that we could probably be like, yeah, who cares? Let's just do another one.
Yay.
What if there's any like fan-made like Battlefield Earth sequels?
Oh, that's a good idea, actually. Well, you know, as for me, I really enjoyed this movie. It made me feel a little bit Psychlo. And I mean, I thought John Travolta was giving it his all. He did great. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot else to like about the movie, but we love the Psychlo character design. I can genuinely say that. Let's see. Gonna have to give this one 5 out of 5. Frozen gods.
Yes.
Imagine when they go to the destroyed New York City and see the frozen god of the bull and the little girl confronting the bull.
Oh, wow. That'd be terrifying.
They will see.
Or when they go to Milwaukee and see the Arthur Fonzarelli statue.
Or when they wander into an abandoned Dick's sporting goods store.
When they go to Fry's Electronics and see.
Well, if they were in fucking Denver, they would have seen our frozen friend Nathan Faustin.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of
Does he have a statue?
outside of fucking Meow Wolf.
Oh, that's right. He does have a statue.
Yeah.
He would be a frozen god for all eternity in the Battlefield Earth universe. That's wonderful.
Amazing.
Yeah, loose lips. Shout out.
Well, special thank you to all of the man animals who got their education by beaming this podcast into their brain. We are your lowly podcast slaves. And I am your lowly podcast slave. We thank you for spending the time. And we invite you to check out our Patreon if you want even more man-animal Bible study lessons. But if you're already there, no, wait, who cares what I'm saying? Also, special
Psychlo right
now. Also, we do want to thank our very kind patrons at the $20 tier: Nicole, Marissa, Jeff, Rhett, and Mark. Also, our outro song is "Oh My God" by Mary. So, from all of us here at Boys Bible Study, myself, Ash, my co-hosts Terl and Kerr, we would like to say, peace be with you.
And also with you.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I feel your love in me, it's coming from within. Oh my God, my devotion is so unwavering. Divine emotions when you enter me.